All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been going through and creating a series of video presentations that are based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm in the JavaScript section, and we're talking about objects, and it's time for object prototypes. Now, before we go into this, it says this, I want you to look at the note here. It says this article covers traditional JavaScript constructors and classes. In the next article, we'll discuss the modern way of doing things with ECMA 2015 classes. So now we're at prototypes, and I'm not sure if that's what they meant, because I think actually talking about object-oriented JavaScript, we kind of went through that before, but what I want to get across to you is this prototype way of doing things is more the old school way of doing things. Probably it's changed a lot in the last 5 or 6 years. All right. Prototypes are the mechanism by which JavaScript objects inherit features from one another. In this article, we explain how prototype chains work and how the prototype property can be used to add methods to existing constructors. It says here, JavaScript is often described as a prototype-based language. I've never heard that before. I believe it, but I've never heard it before. All right. And the author says there, to provide inheritance, objects can have a prototype object which acts as a template object that inherits methods and properties from. Okay. An object's prototype object may also have a prototype object that it inherits methods and properties from, etc. This is also known as a prototype chain. Think about it this way. Imagine that I created a class that was called bank account. All right. Well, based off of bank account, I could maybe make 3 other classes. Let's say savings account, checking account, and IRA account. And then based off of that checking account, I might have an interest-bearing checking account and a non-interest-bearing checking account. So actually what I'm starting to do here is to create what's typically referred to as an inheritance hierarchy. All right. So in JavaScript, the link is made between the object instance and its prototype. It's __proto___ property. Key thing to realize, 2 underscores there, 2 underscores there. You want it to work right, you better use 2. Which is derived from the prototype property of the constructor and the properties and methods found walking up the chain of prototypes. And as it says here, it's important to understand the distinction between the prototype and the deprecated proto property. All right. And it says here, let's look at an example that will hopefully make this a little easier to understand. So here we go back to the same example we finished with in our person constructor. All right. And it says load that into your browser. Here we have defined a constructor object like so. And I think that's what we had previously. Nope. So let's get rid of that. And let's put this back again. So I'm going to go here to this further exercise. Whoops, I don't want to run it. I want the source. So I'm going to grab everything that's inside of here. Whoa, it's big. Whoa. All right. And I imagine we're going to spend most of this lesson going over this. And where did I put that? I didn't put it in the right place. I don't want to put it after the body. Nope. Let me remove this. And we will put in our script tag, beginning script tag here. And we will put our ending script tag in right where it is. And then we will put in our ending body tag. There we go. All right, no idea if this will work or if I somehow screwed it up, but we're going to check right now. It's not giving me any errors, and that's always a good sign. When we have created that, let's put in this. Well, there's let person 1, Tammy Smith, etc. So I didn't type in person 1 myself, and I will do that right now. And you'll notice that after we do that, we get a whole bunch of stuff in here. There's Tammy Smith. There's Tammy's interests, the greeting, the bio. All right, etc. You can see all the other stuff that's in there. In this list, as the author says, you will see members defined on the person's constructor: the name, the age, the gender, the interest, the bio, and the greeting. You will also see other members: to string, value of, etc. These, for lack of better words, these are built in. They're part of the prototype object, but the point is there's stuff that's built into the object itself. All objects get a toString and a value of. So it says, what happens if you call a method on the person1 object that's defined in there? So what happens if we type in this? person1.valueof. Let's close this and let's put in person1.valueof and hit enter. Looks to me like it's pretty much printing out the same stuff that we already had, but let's double check. Value of returns the value of the object it's called on. Okay, in this case, what happens? The browser initially checks to see if the person1 object has a value1 method available on it, as defined on the constructor person, and it doesn't. So it checks to see if the prototype has one available, and it does. So that's the one that's called. It says here, we want to reiterate that the methods and properties are not copied from one object to another in the chain. They are accessed by what is referred to as walking up the chain. The prototype chain is traversed only while retrieving properties. If properties are set or deleted directly on an object, the chain is not traversed. There would be no reason to do that. All right. Let's check our time here. We're okay. So prior to ECMAScript 2015, there wasn't officially a way to access an object's prototype directly. Most modern browsers, however, do offer a property variable called __proto__, which contains the object's prototype object. It says try putting in this, and let's see what we get. Lost the P somehow. All right, and we get that. If we put it in again, and we say .__proto__, and we hit enter. All right, we are basically, in my opinion at least, we're kind of walking up the prototype chain. Since ECMA 15, you can access the object's prototype object directly via this. Well, we shouldn't have to say object dot. Well, let's try that. We'll put person1 in the parens here. Let me close a few of these. clear this. All right, so I think we can walk it that way. All right, so continuing on then. The prototype property, where inherited members are defined. And as it says there, so where are the inherited properties and methods defined? If you look at the object reference page, you'll see listed on the left-hand side a large number of properties and methods, many more than the number of inherited methods we actually saw available for the person one object. Some are inherited, some are not. So they're saying, well, what are they talking about? As mentioned above, the inherited ones are the ones defined on the prototype property. The prototype property's value is an object, which is basically a bucket for storing properties and methods. So, for example, these things are available on any object. And as you'll notice when we start to go into other programming languages, especially the toString is like in Java, for example, not JavaScript, but in Java is oftentimes overwritten when you are creating a program. All right. Object.is and object.keys and other members not defined in the prototype bucket are not inherited by the object instances. They're available just on the object method itself. It says here, this seems strange. How can you have a method defined on a constructor, which is itself a function? Well, a function is also a type of object. So you can check out the existing. All right, they tell us to put this in. I think we're going to have to put in person one, but let's see. Oh, looks like we've still got all that stuff in there. All right. It says the output won't show you very much because we haven't defined anything on our custom constructor's prototype. By default, a constructor's prototype always starts empty. Now try the following. And as it says here, you'll see a large number of methods defined on an object's prototype property, which are then available on objects that inherit from object. All right. It's worth reading our more in-depth using prototypes in JavaScript once this makes a little sense to you. So we'll talk about that at another time. Notice the prototype property is one of the most confusingly named parts of JavaScript. It might be one of the more confusing ones to even look at as well. All right, I'm going to stop right here and we'll pick it up on revisiting create in the next lesson.